Welcome back to the Mannix Factor. I'm Mannix. Thank you for rocking with me on this day or night or whenever you're watching this. Thank you for spending a little bit of your time with me. All right, let's get into it. A little bit of housekeeping. Sorry for no video last week. Thanksgiving, I was with my family in a place where I didn't really have what I needed if I even wanted to make a video. But obviously, due to the results that I would have been referring to, I figured anyway, no one wants me to talk about it. I will mention it briefly just because I feel like I have to. But I also felt good in a sense that I knew no one would really want me to make a video. But let's just go over it quickly and then we'll move on. Brawl of the Wild, 34-11, we lost. Their second string running back, who was the starter because their starter number one guy is hurt. But Adam Jones had almost 200 rushing yards on us. Tommy Malai also had a good chunk of yardage and a bunch of touchdowns. So, yeah, we weren't good against the run game, and that killed us. So that is all I'll say about that. No one wants to dwell on that, so let's move on. Playoffs, we got a host, and within hosting, we got to host Eddie George, NFL legend, and Tennessee State, and we got the win, playoff W, 41-27 here in Washington Grizzly Stadium. It was a great, great game, but there were a few things that weren't great, and I'll get to that here in a minute. But let's just go through, as always, with the offense. Logan Fife started a majority of this game, 11 for 22, 50%, not great, 97 yards. He was also one of our leading rushers with 8 carries and 34 yards. But he had 2 fumbles when running the football. Both were recovered by Tennessee State, so that wasn't great. Although he did have a 2-point conversion that he ran after one of our touchdowns later in the game. Kiali Ayat, after Logan fumbled the second time, came in and was just we were running out the clock at that point. He did throw a ball for 18 yards. That was his only attempt. He didn't run it. He just handed the ball off. We put it in his hands because he's not someone who fumbles. Eli Gilman, 20 carries, 136 yards, and 2 touchdowns. One of them being 59 yards on an absolute amazing and electric run. It was a great game for him, other than he did have a fumble that was recovered by Tennessee State, so that's not good. And then we have Malai Finoti. I'm definitely butchering that. He had 8 carries for 46 yards, 5.8 yards an attempt. And he was great at taking care of the football. And he is someone I'm excited to see him and Eli as a duo next year for the Grizz. Stevie Rocker Jr., 5 carries, 30 yards, 2 receptions for 18 yards. And then Xavier Harris had a carry for 8 yards. But running the football in this game, right, we had easily over 200 yards rushing, which is great, and we scored, but 3 fumbles, all lost. And we cannot be doing that in playoff football, especially from this point forward. There will not be an easy. I'm not going to say Tennessee State was easy because they definitely gave us a game for a while there. But from this point forward, we really cannot afford turnovers, let alone 3 fumbles. So in the future, we got to be really well on ball security. Let's move on to receiving. Sawyer Racanelli, 2 receptions on 5 targets, 40%, 35 yards. Cole Grossman, his biggest feature this season, 3 receptions on 5 targets, 60% for 20 yards. Drew Deck, 2 receptions on 2 targets for 18 yards. Keelan White, 2 receptions on 3 targets for 12 yards. And then Junior, 1 reception, 1 target for 12 yards. So obviously, as I mentioned in the passing, there wasn't a lot through the air and against Tennessee State. But Junior player of the game, quite easily player of the game, because he had 2 punt return touchdowns. And both of them totaled 105 yards. The first one was a 54, and the second one was a 52-yard touchdown, and they were electric and just incredible. Tennessee State didn't realize who they were punting to, and he really just kind of won the game. We were worrying about what would happen, and he just went and scored, and then that totally flipped momentum, and then he went and did it again. So it was just a great game from him. Kicking, for the first time in a while, we got a little bit more to say. Ty Morrison, 4 for 5 on field goals, 80%, which isn't bad. 3 on extra points. He missed a 39, which wasn't great, but at the end of the half, he made a 50-yarder, which is good, and it's good to know that he could hit that, because especially in playoff football, you never know when you might need to have that leg. All right, now let's get into that defense. I normally do top 3 tacklers, but I decided to do top 4 for this game. Number 1, safety Jackson Lee, 8 total tackles, 3 assisted, 5 solo. Safety Ryder Meyer, 7 total tackles, 2 assisted, 5 solo. And then Riley Wilson, our defensive player of the game, 7 total tackles, 3 assisted, 4 solo, 3.5 tackles for loss that totaled 39 yards, and 1.5 were sacks for 17 yards. Just a great game from Riley defensively. And then Hayden Harris, 6 total tackles, 3 assisted, 3 solo, and he also had a tackle for loss for 9 yards, which was a sack for 9 yards. Some other defensive highlights: Ryan Tyrrell had a tackle for loss for 1 yard. Henry Noose had a tackle for loss for 4 yards, or half a tackle for loss, and that was the sack he split with Wilson. And then Trevin Gradney had that game-sealing interception right on the goal line. Patrick Hayden had a sack for 7 yards. And then Noah Cashmitter had a sack for 13 yards. Total defense, 8 total tackles for loss, 5 of them being sacks and 1 interception. So a solid defensive performance. Overall, right, no complaints. We won, got turnovers, got to the quarterback, played physical, and we will need them to be better in the future, because our next opponent is the South Dakota State Jackrabbits, defending FCS national champions, who are 10-2, and obviously this is a bit of a personal game for us, having to lose to them last year's championship, 23-3. So this will be a redemption game, and they're the 3 seed, and if we can pull off an upset, then I truly, and I think everyone should believe that we can be a championship winning team if we can beat the Jackrabbits this Saturday. Let's get into what kind of makes them good. Their main offensively is running with running back Amar Johnson, who's one of the top running backs in FCS. He's not high in any category, but he's among like the top 30, somewhere in there in most running categories. But the biggest problem that the Grizz are going to run into is the Jackrabbits probably have one of, if not the best defense in the FCS. Their defense is first in scoring defense, 10th in first down defense, 9th in red zone defense, 6th in rushing defense, 4th in total defense, and 3rd in third down defense. They are good defensively. So we need to be scoring. We need to be able to penetrate that defense. My recommendation is that obviously attempt to run, because running the football would be nice. They're good against the run. But if we can run it with Eli or whoever, if we can run it, then we could be setting ourselves up to be playing a nice offensive game and can win. But we probably will mostly need to pass, and we need to make sure we're making smart passing decisions and not throwing interceptions and taking care of the football just in general, whether preventing fumbles and turnovers. And then defensively, stop the run and get turnovers. Ideally, force fumbles, try and track the quarterback's eyes. Like, turnovers will be huge and hopefully helping us win this football game. It is an uphill battle for us. It's interesting, though, because we're 8-1 against them all time. Our only loss was last year's championship. Before last year, we had never lost to the Jackrabbits. But we're playing with the chip. We want revenge. And I think we can do it. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say we can't. But it is an uphill battle. So we will need to play physical and just play with everything we got, really. With the passing, I would like to see Logan air it out a bit more. We saw like glimpses of it, but with how our talented receivers, Vance and Junior, are both fast enough, and Sawyer are both all fast enough to kind of get over the top. And if we can kind of get those big explosive plays, it will set us up to play a better offensive game. And with that is it. But I also, football season's ending, so this could be the last game for us. So I just want to say that if we do happen to lose, I'll probably make a video just recapping the season in general. But after that, what do you want? I would like to know what you guys would want to see from me. Do you want me to continue to cover the playoffs? Just maybe follow the Bobcats? I know some people who are Grizz fans are also just like secondary, like Cats are their second team. Do you want me to cover just like the playoffs, continue the journey, see who wins? Do you want me to start covering Grizz basketball? Like what next do you want to see me talk about and cover on the channel for the future? Because this will keep going, and so I'd like to know what to talk about. I'll even move if you want NFL or FBS. Just let me know what you want to hear from me next. It would be helpful instead of trying to maybe guess. So thank you. That's it for me today. And peace out.